Before you start your business, it is important to choose the right business structure. But how do you know which one is right for your business? In this video, we're going to be looking at all of the different business structures you can choose from, the advantages and disadvantages of each of them, and help you decide which one is right for your business coming up right now. Right, so the business structures that are available to you depends on the country that you live in. I live in Ghana, so I'm going to be talking about the business structures in Ghana, but if you live outside of Ghana, things may be a bit different from where you are. So make sure to look out for what is specific to your country and then learn about that. The four most popular business structures in Ghana are the sole proprietorship, the partnership, the company limited by shares or the limited liability company, and then the company limited by guarantee. Let's quickly look at each of these structures and compare them, starting with the sole proprietorship. So the sole proprietorship is a type of business structure where a single person owns and controls the business. The owner is responsible for all aspects of the business, including making decisions and taking on any financial risks or debts. Let's look at the advantages of registering your company as a sole proprietorship. The first one being that it's relatively easy to set up and operate because there are fewer legal requirements. And the second is that the owner of the sole proprietorship has complete control over the operation of the company and is able to make decisions quickly and move quickly without interference from anybody and without having to go through a lot of hoops to arrive at a decision. There are a few disadvantages, however, to registering your company as a sole proprietorship. The first is that liability is unlimited, and what that means is that the owner of the company or the owner of the business is personally liable for any debts and financial obligations of the business. And this means that if your business gets sued or your business incurs any debts, your personal assets like your savings, your house, whatever you own is at risk, because if the court rules against you, you may have to sell those assets or you may have to give out those assets to take care of or to offset any debts that your business incurs, which is really not great. The second disadvantage is that if you register your business as a sole proprietorship, you may have a bit of trouble attracting funding or investing because sole proprietorships are not a separate legal entity from their owner. Finally, the duration of a sole proprietorship is tied to the lifetime of the owner, which means that if you own a sole proprietorship and you die, your business is over, you cannot legally transfer it to your next of kin or anyone else because it's tied to your name. So those are the disadvantages to registering your business as a sole proprietorship. What is an ideal situation where you might want to register your company as a sole proprietorship? And there are a couple of instances. The first is a sole proprietorship may be appropriate for you if you are starting a very small business and you don't plan to raise any financing or investment or have that many employees. Also, a sole proprietorship may be a good choice for you if you prefer to have total and complete control of the business and you are comfortable taking on the financial risks and responsibilities and potential for unlimited liability that comes with owning a sole proprietorship. The second business structure that we are going to be looking at is the partnership structure. And a partnership is a type of business structure in which two or more individuals own and operate a for-profit business. So unlike a sole proprietorship where it's just one person that owns and controls the business, a partnership is owned and controlled by more than one person. That is two or more people. In Ghana, you can have between 2 and 20 people in a partnership. So let's look at the advantages of the partnership structure. The partnership allows for shared ownership and decision making, and which can be beneficial for businesses that have more than one owner. You and your partner are able to put your heads together and make better decisions together. The second advantage is the ability for you and your partners to pool resources together. Partnerships allow for you and your partners to combine both your money and your skills together at the beginning, which is very great because usually in the beginning, one of the biggest challenges you face running a business is coming up with the initial funding. So if you have a partner to start with, that helps you to be able to combine resources, get things off the ground. You're also able to combine skills so that you are not overwhelmed. It's also easy to set up. So just like the sole proprietorship, the partnership is also quite easy to set up, and there are fewer legal and compliance requirements compared to other kinds of business structures. So let's look at the disadvantages of the partnership structure. Firstly, just like sole proprietorship, there is personal liability, which means that if your business runs into debt or gets sued, your personal assets are at risk, and you may have to liquidate your personal assets to pay for any debts that the business incurs. Secondly, managing a partnership can be difficult if there are too many partners, because then you have to get the buy-in of everybody before a decision can be made. And also, if there are disputes, you have to spend a lot of time resolving the disputes. Sometimes disputes may be so bad that it may break the business, especially if one of your partners starts behaving unreasonably. Partnerships are ideal if you are starting a small business, but you are more than one owner. Let's say it's you and your sibling that is starting a small business, and you want to share ownership among the two of you or between the two of you and make decisions together. Then partnership is a good choice. Partnership is also a good choice if you are comfortable with the personal liability that comes with this structure. It's also a good choice if you need to be able to raise significant funding to get off the ground, because all the partners will be able to pitch in and contribute to raise the initial capital needed to get the business off the ground. The next business structure we're going to be considering is the company limited by shares, or what we call limited liability company in Ghana. A company limited by shares, I'm just going to use company limited by shares and limited liability company or LLC interchangeably, but they mean the same thing. It's a type of company that is distinct or separate from its owners and has limited liability protection. I'll explain that in a minute. And unlike sole proprietorship, where you and your company are considered as one entity, this one, you, the owners of the company, are separate from the business. This means that personal assets of the owners are not at risk. If the business gets sued or if the business runs into debt, the personal assets of the owners cannot be sold, cover any debts that the business ran into. So let's look at the structure of a business or a company limited by shares. You have one or more shareholders who elect a board of directors to manage the company on their behalf. So the shareholders own the company, the directors make decisions on behalf of the company, and then the management runs the company. So if you are starting a company limited by shares, you probably be a shareholder, you probably be a director, and you would also be part of the management as the CEO or the managing director or whatever title you want to give to yourself. The directors are responsible for making the strategic and financial decisions of the company, while the shareholders are typically responsible for their investment into the company. Here are some advantages of setting your business up as a limited liability company. First, you have limited liability protection, and as I mentioned earlier, limited liability company offers its owners protection from personal liability, which means that if there are debts, if the company incurs any debts or any obligations, your personal assets as the owner are not affected. Secondly, it allows you to be able to raise external financing or investment, and you can issue stocks, you can sell ownership interest in the company to raise investments to grow your operations. The third thing is that registering your company as a limited liability gives you a more professional image, and it may be perceived as more professional or more credible compared to, say, a partnership or a sole proprietorship, especially if you are trying to attract customers and partners. I know a lot of businesses that will not work or do business with a company that is registered as a sole proprietorship because they don't consider them credible enough. However, some of the disadvantages of registering your company as a limited liability company are as follows. The first is complexity. The limited liability company is generally more complex than the sole proprietorship or the partnership. As I already mentioned, you need to have shareholders, you need to have a board of directors, you need to have multiple people that are involved in the setup of the business. And the second is that it's generally more expensive to set up compared to the sole proprietorship, because there are things that you need to pay for, including an auditor, a company secretary, maybe a lawyer, and there are things that you might need to hire professionals to do for you. For instance, my company Sesi Technologies, we have an external accountant, we have an external auditor, we have a company lawyer. All of that comes with cost. When should you consider setting up as a limited liability company? The first is if there is more than one person controlling the business. For instance, you are starting a business with a partner, a business partner, or a co-founder who is going to be involved actively in the business, then it's better to register as a limited liability company. Secondly, if your business is going to be much bigger, you are planning to sort of scale your business, then it's better to register as a limited liability company because it's a structure that is much better suited to scale. Thirdly, if you are planning to raise investment in the future, then you have to register as a limited liability. Also, if you're going to be working a lot with business customers, and if your customers are going to be other businesses, then it's better to register as a limited liability company because it makes you more credible. And that brings us to the last one, which is the company limited by guarantee. And I'm going to only touch briefly on this because most of you are not going to be registering your company as a company limited by guarantee. So this is a structure that is sort of similar to a company limited by shares, in that you need officers, you need to have directors, you need to have a company secretary and an auditor. But one of the main differences between the company limited by guarantee and the company limited by shares is that the company limited by guarantee is not permitted to make a profit. And that's why I said I'm not only going to touch on this because I believe that most of you are starting your businesses to make a profit. This means that the founders of this company limited by guarantee cannot take money out of the company for themselves or for their own use. You can pay yourself as an employee of the company, but you cannot sort of take money out of the company for your own use. And I'm sure you're wondering why anyone would want to register their company, register a business where they are not making a profit. But there are some good use cases for that. If you want to run a charity or a religious organization like a church or a non-profit, then this is the right type of business for you. But I believe that most of you are looking to make a profit, and so you will be choosing one of the other ones. Right, so there's quite a lot of information. Leave a comment below. Let me know what kind of business structure you are considering and why you are considering that structure. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments. I'll jump in there and answer them for you. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and share the video because it helps the channel grow. And again, this video is part of my Business Essentials series, which is like a whole course for people that are looking to start their own business. So if this is you, make sure that you are subscribed and you have notifications turned on so that you can get access to the rest of the videos. So see you, take care, and see you in the next video.